In the classroom for the first time since March 13th, and the school experience is going to look very different. From wearing masks in the hallways to getting used to a new normal routine, preparing your kids now will go a long way in easing some of the anxieties they may have come September the 9th. Well, joining me with some helpful tips for the first day of school is child clinical psychologist Dr. Janine Hubbard. Dr. Hubbard, thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Oh, it's lovely to be here.
So, Dr. Hubbard, our kids haven't been in the classroom for 6 months. So, you know, we're just 2 weeks out. I don't know about most parents. I know for me, it hadn't dawned on me, I guess, until a couple of days ago, how soon this first day of school is approaching. So how do we start getting ready for back to school? What's the first thing we need to do?
The first thing that we need to do, and you need to start it tonight, is to address your sleep. Because again, normally we all go off schedule a little bit over the summer. We're staying up a little later. We're having bonfires. You know, everybody's able to sleep in a bit in the morning. But since COVID, and with the number of people working from home, we have really altered our sleep schedule so that most parents are, in fact, be able to sleep in a little bit later. And we have teenagers who normally have relied on things like summer employment to get them out of bed before 2 in the afternoon. Unfortunately, a lot of people weren't able to get jobs this year. So we have a whole population of people who have a sleep schedule right at the moment that is not compatible with being up and ready to go to school at 7 or 7:30 in the morning.
So, so how do we get back on track? How do we get our children back on track?
It's important to get everybody back on track. So, in terms of sleep, I always talk about what I call either the slow Band-Aid, where you're slowly ripping it off, or the quick and painful Band-Aid approach. If your schedule is off by, you know, an hour or two at the moment, the slow approach is probably your best strategy. The way we address changing sleep isn't bedtime, which is what most people think about. It's setting an alarm in the morning. And what we've discovered is if you change that wake-up time by about 15 minutes every 2 to 3 days, our bodies don't really notice it. It's a fairly gradual and easy adjustment. So if you start tonight, you've got 2 weeks to do that gradual shift of 15 minutes every couple of nights to get you and your family back on more of a regular sleep schedule. On the other hand, especially this is the teenagers and some of the university students, if they have been up until the wee hours of the night and are sleeping till noon, you might have to do the fast Band-Aid. And that means starting tomorrow, that alarm gets set for 10 o'clock. And they get up, whether they're ready to get up or not. You know, go to bed when they're ready to. The next morning, same thing, up at 10 or up at 9. And you're going to have a very grouchy teenager for a couple of days, but setting that alarm, setting that schedule, and getting that shift back in place. Things are going to be stressful and disorganized enough that first couple of weeks of school, we don't need lack of sleep and huge levels of fatigue on top of it.
Because, you know, we also have parents who haven't, as you mentioned, been getting up maybe quite as early. And now we've got to get up and iron clothes and pick out clothes and make lunches.
Pack lunches. Again, think about the fact people have been really enjoying being able to have home-cooked hot breakfasts and just kind of either grazing during the day or making a hot meal. Even if you're still working from home and being able to do that, you got to get organized to get the kids' lunches ready. So again, starting some planning, starting talking to your kids about what would they like in their lunches, what are they excited about, starting to plan some of those back-to-school clothing and outfits, and remembering that, okay, maybe the night before we need to start introducing some of our regular evening routines. So whether that's the typical sleep hygiene in terms of winding down, putting the electronics away about an hour before bedtime. As parents, that's maybe helping get the lunches ready, or older kids getting them to help, getting the clothing picked out, starting to introduce all of that bedtime schedule, which is going to signal your brain that it's time to go to sleep, and you'll be far better prepared by the time school starts.
Okay, Dr. Janine Hubbard, we have so much more we could discuss on this topic. So I do know I'm going to have you in again next week to give us some more advice on this. Thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Thanks again.